Yeah. The first thing I wanted to ask Dror was if I mean the conversation that we had in that PR. If did my response clarify your question, or did you have anything else on that?
Wow, I don't think I looked at the response
Okay, I can
on the
share that in
PR.
this.
Uh,
You had asked what was the need for that pooled user ops by hashes, or how does it work?
yes, the exact flow. No, and I also added a comment there that regarding the where is it?
Yeah, it was marked as resolved, but you can still see it.
Yeah, I'll unresolve that so that it's easier for you.
Wait a minute, it's in the bundler spec, right?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the button spec, in the open PR, in PR5, there was a conversation marked as resolved, and I think your question was there. I
Okay. Uh, I'm not sure it answers my questions. The flow goes like this. If a bundler starts and it requests all user op hashes from another bundler,
Correct.
it gets the full bulk of pooled user operation. There's a maximum value.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what is the maximum value. It is possible that the actual number will be larger.
Yep.
So it will, and it wants to get the entire batch.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets the first batch, but it knows it is not enough. So it asks even the same entity that sent it the request, give me more.
I see what you
Now,
mean. Okay.
I
Yeah.
cannot send the same request because I will get either the same answer or a randomized response. I want to say something like, I got what you define as the first 100, give me
Mm-hmm.
the next. Now, what it means first and next,
Oh,
the
you
one who
okay.
sent it define the sorting. It could be by time, it could be by random, it could be whatever. But I want to say, I got the first bulk. Send me what you call the second bulk. We
Um,
don't need a fully accurate because it changes over time. But if there are 4,000, no, if there's 10,000 entities and you gave me a bulk of 4,000 and I want more because I got 4,000, I know there are more. I'm telling you, I got the first 4,000, give me next. If I will skip some because they were dropped, they were moved, or something changed the ordering, and it's okay. But I want in general to get most of the user operation hashes that you have.
yeah, but between the time you request and the next request as a subsequent call, there could have been some user operations that would have already been processed and removed from the mempool, right? So,
Yes,
uh,
and it could be that some were added.
okay, so
So
you're
as an example, I said, let's say there are 10,000 and you sort them by time. Okay,
okay.
and I got the first 4,000, and now I ask you for the next 4,000 because I'm saying, sorry, I'm asking for starting at offset 4,000. It could be that I will miss few or I will get few duplicated, but between these two times, the list will not change drastically.
Right.
So
So,
even if I will get 99.9% of the mempool is still okay.
I mean, in such a case, the request parameter for that message type, you're suggesting offset, but each bundler might the sort order for fetching might be different, right? So should we then choose a block number probably as a criteria? Give me all user ops that were submitted after this particular block number.
What I'm saying is that you send this request not as a global request. You send it, no, sorry. Even the request send pool transaction hashes broadcasting. You're sending it to a specific
Correct.
one.
Yeah.
So you got a response from that one, and now
Mhm.
you request the next from the same one. So whatever sort order it uses for its own internal memory, you're saying starting at this offset. All I know is I got 4,000 from you, and I want the next, or after the starting at 4,000. I don't care your sorting order.
No.
Depending on your memory, it can be sorted by block number, by time, by index. I don't care, as long as you care, because it is the best effort to get as much as possible from your mempool.
I get it. Yeah, but okay. And so it's just the an offset that we mentioned there. I'm just wondering how we it's up. We leave the implementation to the bundlers on how they wish to handle this.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
offset is meaningful only to the one who initiate the original list.
Right. So the offset is defined to be a what? What do you mention as the offset? The last available user off, or is it a number? Or
No. It's it's a number.
okay, so it's more like a pagination, the second page.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, the second page, but I don't count page. I count the line in page.
Got it. Yeah.
Yes.
So okay. So I'll define.
Logically, I ask the original bundler recreate the entire list sorted by the same way. Skip this number and start from there. Probably it will have a better implementation from that. But this is logically, this is what it does. We recreate the entire list, skip this part, and return me the rest.
Okay. So yeah, I'll go ahead and make that change and add. I mean, it'll accept a parameter which says the offset, which will be numeric. So if the total number of requests total number of response exceeds 4096 as the max ops request, it then sends over the next batch.
Yes, and no, actually, maybe there's something even better, which I saw, is that with the request, with the array, return another parameter. The response will contain an array and then another parameter, which is next offset.
Okay.
If there is no next offset, meaning there are no more entries. If there is next offset and you will return it to the server, it has enough information to know how to continue from there.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
So okay, this is even better.
So the one thing that might be a little weird on the bundler implementation side is that offset that you're returning, we at least need to. There's no way to make it a perfect offset.
No, it's not perfect
unless you're trying to keep state for every year.
It's best effort. It's nothing but best effort. And that's what I'm saying. And the goal here is not to get 100% of the same mempool, because mempool is dynamic. Entries go in, entries go out. But if I'm making in succession 2 requests within a second or 2 between each other, and the mempool is built over a few minutes, then the change should be relative, like a few percent.
Right.
But it's still, I have a good mempool. It's a very good start. And over time, we can continue. Look, I'm looking at the other extreme. I can start without requesting all hashes. I can start with an empty mempool and start building it out from the user operation that will come over time. This is a very slow way.
Yep.
We are trying to get as much as possible. And by defining the offsets so that the bundler will return it, it can decide what is the best way depending on the order it has.
Right.
If you keep a linked list of all user op in your, then it could be a pointer into this linked list. I don't care.
Yep.
Okay. If you want to sort them each time, it's also okay.
It seems reasonable. I think the L doesn't have this. I don't think the L1, just regular mempool, just gives 4096 and calls it a day.
They never send more than that. Okay.
Yeah, it's just 4096, at least as far as I understand. I haven't looked into the code, but the spec specifically in the P2P spec doesn't have any notion of like this offset. So it just maximally returns. It's a soft limit. Also, I think you can negotiate something higher or send something higher. I'm not exactly sure how that works in
Are you
WP,
referring to EL? Yeah. Okay. But in the case of execution layer, I think each node maintains a state, so it will know how long it continues to. It needs to continue to request new block hashes, right? But in this case, there's no state, so yeah, there is a need.
Yeah, the other side. Okay, and repeat asking until the other side tell you he thinks
There's
there
no
are
more.
no more entries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Made a note of that. I'll get the spec updated accordingly. Yeah, that was my only question, outstanding question, and then I needed to understand how do we wish to proceed. Just to give an update, I couldn't progress much on the POC over the last 2 weeks because I was busy sorting out the other issues with the hosted bundler service that we have, especially on L2 networks. With the I think lead K in that group identified certain pre-compiles which were having issues. That if we were running on Arbitrum or Optimism, then we had to disallow certain precompiles from the user op. So we were getting that sorted. So yeah, the work on the POC is still pending, but how would we like to proceed going forward?
Just regarding the precompiles, can you elaborate on the issue just in the Arbitrum and Optimism?
So I believe I forgot his name. I think it was Lee from the 4337 group. He identified an issue where certain precompiles, when are part of the user operations, they shouldn't be processed by the bundler, or they should be disallowed. It should be under the banned list,
yes.
like gas info. And
yes, we have an implicit assumption that precompiles are context-free. But this is not true. It is true on mainnet. It is not true on Arbitrum, for example.
Yes.
So what we need to do is whitelist specific precompiles, like the first 9 are known to be the first standard EVM precompile are known to be context-free, which are okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we should add. This is something that yes, it was mentioned and I forgot it. So. I need to add it to the AP.
Yeah, so we've identified across few other L1, alt L1s as well as L2s, and we were adding that to our support to disallow those as a part of our bundler service. I'll share the list that we have, Dror. You can probably add it to the spec as well, so that bundler implementers are aware of it. So yeah. How do we proceed, or what's the way forward? Is there any suggestion?
Yeah, we didn't make much progress on the bundler or the spec in the past weeks. We were busy with some other things in the contract themselves. So one thing is, as I see it, is yes, to have a minimal implementation. Mm-hmm. And the other is to define the tests and how we run tests. First of all, for bundler against the test suite, and secondly, running cross bundlers.
Yeah,
because it would be best if we could run every bundler against each other. We have right now 6 bundlers.
Yeah.
So it makes a quite nice matrix. Anyone has some experience with doing such tests or running Hive or whatever?
Yeah, we had a conversation about this during the last call with Alex. He too suggested we can look at Hive. We should probably create a simulator for this. I'm happy to take a look at it. I've not built a simulator myself, but yeah, I'm curious to do that for this.
Because I looked into Hive a bit, but it is more based on static, rigid JSON XMLs. JSON files of transactions, and to send them into nodes and see how they propagate.
Yeah.
Maybe it is possible to be done with a counter abstraction, but it's going to be much more complex to create those.
I mean, it's
So
more
I'm thinking whether to run it.
Sorry.
Okay, sending.
Submission of
down.
a user op to a particular bundler endpoint, and then see if it gets propagated to all the connected nodes accurately, right?
For propagation, it would be enough, yes. The point with propagation for us is that it is also relates to applying the validation rules on the receiving side.
Mm-hmm.
So we do need the way to send to be able to send invalid user operation through the mempool, which is a bit more complex to create. No, actually, it is simple. It is simple if you are from.
Yeah, I mean,
if a test suite can do it, can create whatever user operation it likes. A real bundler, it's harder to tweak it to send invalid user operation.
Yeah, when testing the protocol, we'll actually need to test two types of transactions that the bundler that bundles should not accept. One is something that is invalid according to the rules. Invalid according to the rules. In this case, we want that the node that the recipient actually disconnects and treats the sending bundler as a spammer. And in the other case, is something that you want to silently drop because it's not invalid. But it's not invalid, but for example, it's something that is that has a bad reputation, a bad local reputation with your bundler, or is otherwise doesn't match your criteria for inclusion. So in that case,
yes.
So you want to be able. So you want to test these two distinct cases. In one case, you treat the sender as a spammer and you disconnect. In the other one, you silently drop the op, but you don't disconnect.
Yes, but both can be. We can create user operations to simulate both. An example of the second one is, let's say, someone created a bundle which is profitable for bundles of above, like a pre-verification gas, which is good for bundles that are more than, like, say, 10 user operations. But if some bundler creates small bundles of 1 or 2, it will drop these user operations because they're not profitable enough for it, but they're still valid. So it doesn't affect the connection, but they are silently dropped.
Yep.
So testing it, actually, it came in the call. Some of these tests might be too rigid because we expect the tests as they're written today expect explicit behavior and of what should and what shouldn't stay in the mempool. But with this specific example, there are cases where entities might be dropped by a bundler's decision without that is the rules of when to drop them or not are not that strict. There can be some leeway for the bundler to decide.
Right. So can we capture these test criteria probably somewhere in a repo so that we are all of us in the same page before we start writing the actual test suite?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how to write the test using a more relaxed way.
Yeah.
Dan, I think you mentioned several issues about the tests. Is it related to that or something else?
No, they're just small little things like, just random parameters like that 10% as the replacement. Just like those little things that we might want to codify or just list somewhere in the test inputs. It's just like this test says it should be 10%.
Okay.
So the issue, some of the issues that we have with the tests is that they do rely in some cases on EVM state or like the blockchain state for validation, which is not necessarily the case for a normal mempool. Okay, on Ethereum that is on normal transactions. So we do have some changes that we had to make in order to make these tests work. Now, and another kind of test that need to be to have more coverage still, but we do think that are important are reputation tests for the bundles. And the reason that we decided to have it in the spec is because if a bundler doesn't really implement any kind of reputation mechanism, it is susceptible to a very easy kind of attacks that would render it basically not available. So what I wanted from you then is basically the parameters that you thought that shouldn't be part of the spec, because I guess that there are some parameters that we can remove, but I wanted your input on it.
Yeah, we'll compile a list of all the places we think the tests deviate from the strict spec and get that to you guys next week, likely.
Okay, thank you. And another thing that I wanted to ask, I guess that we also need to ask the other bundle developers, but what's the state of your current mempool implementation? Basically, where you currently standing in terms of the actual implementation? Do you have any issues that you thought that are incompatible in that specific regard with the spec itself by implementing the mempool of the bundles? Were there any issues?
Is that a question?
Yeah, that's a general question for anyone who is actually implementing the bundles. Where are they right now in terms of writing the actual, implementing the mempool itself with the peer-to-peer network, and how far you have progressed in that part, and if there is any issues with how we currently wrote the implementation. Do we need to add some parts when talking specifically about the mempool? Because this is the part that is currently not really tested. And we want to have some kind of a standard surrounding the mempool itself.
Yeah, on our end, we're still working through the standard spec, getting the existing tests to pass. So we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Okay.
So, so the plan of action then is to look at Hive and also define the test criteria for the P2P interface. Yeah. Do we agree on that? Are we assigning names for these tasks or?
Okay, I will try to come up with a set of tests that we think we can do for did you start to work on the protocol itself?
Yeah, I did. I mean, not on Hive. I'm building the P2P interface. It's still not ready. I'm hoping before the next call it would be, but you're still working on it.
On what language do you work?
This is TypeScript.
Okay, because we need eventually for the reference we'll do it in TypeScript, and if the test will do it in a standalone manner, it's gonna be in Python.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's one of the reasons I thought of doing only cross checks. Like take two bundles and let them talk to each other, because this way the test suite itself by itself doesn't have to have implementation.
Yeah,
but it might be easier to do it I don't know if wait a minute. If we're doing we want to do a standalone test, it might help because it's easier to test for the edge cases like processing broken user ops when you're not using a real bundler, but
Mhm.
simply sending a batch of cooked user operations.
Mhm.
So I'll see what it takes to do it also in Python. Okay.
I mean, I think Hive lets you write the simulation in any language, right? It's not dependent on Python is definitely used, but never.
Hive defines an interface for your Docker image. You
Right.
write a Docker image, you do whatever you like, and it defines some HTTP API to use. Basically, some of it is, this is what I did for the tests we have.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Docker Compose to start each bundler,
Mm-hmm.
which works quite nice. The only thing I thought is that in order to make the test, right now, the tests themselves might interfere with each other because we trust the script to do the start and the stop.
Yeah.
You see one push, I remove the timers of the shutdown of the Docker images, and then I added them back because I noticed that there is some failure because of that. We might change it so that the test will run as a Docker image too, and then
Yep.
each
We
bundle will
noticed that.
provide only Docker Compose. So we'll be able to do Docker start and Docker stop to remove everything the bundle did, and then do another Docker start for the next bundle.
Mm-hmm.
But in that sense, we are working like Hive, and I'm not quite sure, but if we can really take Hive as it is, because it is highly customized to running nodes.
Yeah, there is a
And
separate. I mean, I believe there is a Hive script or simulation for each of these for execution layers, consensus layer, and few others as well. I recently noticed that. So.
Okay. Okay. So it means I don't know Hive good enough. So we need to check if it is customizable to different
yeah, you can
layers and
customize. There was a
protocols.
new PR. I believe Ben submitted one recently. I mean, when the merge happened for the consensus layer clients as well. So we can just base the one for bundler network so that it's consistent with the core Ethereum protocol as well.
Okay. So this wasn't looking. Okay, so I'll do some work to try to define what the test should be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some work here that you will do to see if we can run it on Hive.
Right. And if based on my last conversation with Hazim from StackUp, he said StackUp should be in a position to commence work on the P2P as well. It'll help if we have at least 2 implementations so that we can test the cross one.
Yeah. Yes. That would be helpful. Okay. Anything else we have?
We'll be there in a few weeks, by the way, to help out with P2P also. We're just working on the initial, but once we're done, I'll let you know, and we can hop into that test as well. I'm curious if there's been any discussion around, I know this is a little bit of a ways out. We need obviously a spec and then a few implementations, but the teams who are planning on running this are they going to run? Are you planning on running this on L1, on L2, everywhere?
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone's really discussed that.
I mean, from Etherspot side, we've noticed it's becoming quite expensive to run hosted bundlers as such on any network for that matter. On Ethereum, it's okay, but on Polygon, we have to run 3 separate nodes. And now if we have to support L2 chains, the need for, especially on Arbitrum or Optimism, the simulation, the trace API is going to be quite expensive, right? So we are in touch with node providers to see if any of them support exposing their trace APIs, but we just got a response from QuickNode but they too say they need at least a week before they can provide us that feature. But hosted bundler service is going to be pretty expensive, especially on L2s. So I don't know what the plan is. What are your thoughts, Alchemy? Are you at Alchemy looking to run it for L2 as well?
Yeah, we're still kind of deciding where we're planning on running the P2P mempool. We had this discussion a little bit earlier with Yoav and Dror. I'm not sure on L2s. It's very useful. It's more of a feature for L1s, for L1s, and specifically if you're integrated with a block builder, it makes it more useful in that regard. Because if you are, using a Flashbot's like endpoint and you're sending things over the public, you're just giving people the ops that you see so that they can put their ops in their bundles, and then your bundles don't ever land. Right. And so I think there's some discussion around who's going to run this mempool, because I don't think any of the teams that are building bundlers right now, at least, are block builders. And so I just, maybe it's a little early. We're still obviously speccing this thing out, but I'm just curious of where we think the initial implementations are going to go. And if we need to potentially start reaching out to other entities. Open discussion there, or also something we can talk about later.
Yeah, my only worry with L1, or especially on Ethereum, is the initial deployment of the wallet might be expensive, and then users might be discouraged to actually use user account abstraction as such. So, I mean, piloting with a low-cost L1 would probably be helpful, but again, that's another conversation for us because it's going to be expensive for those running a hosted bundler service. So, I don't know.
I wonder how many, if there are any, block builders on. Okay. A bundler is expensive because it is like a block builder, and if you're talking about L2, L2s have exactly single. There are many nodes, but only a single block builder.
Yep.
And you, yes, and you have to be a full node in order to, or running through an API with a full node if you want to run a bundler. So, by the way, is anyone building a node-based bundler, or everybody is using this separation over trace call or whatever?
I mean, I think at the moment, what I've seen in reference as well as us, we are using the trace call. We are not. I thought Nethermind was supposed to, were looking to do that initially, but I don't know whether they progressed in anywhere.
They did it in the original version a year ago, which I'm not sure they ever touched.
Yeah.
They did implement everything into the node.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of, for example, a Gnosis network, which has many block builder, a huge number of block builders, the only way, like tens of thousands, I don't remember the number, you said that there are this huge number of block builders, so that the only way for account abstraction to get into such a network is when all the nodes will support it, or a large majority of the nodes will support it.
In Gnosis chain, right?
Yes, in Gnosis chain. So
yes, there's.
So over there, implementing it into the Nethermind node is a good idea. And luckily, all the nodes on Gnosis network are Nethermind node. So if we get them to implement it and over.
So for now, they're also working on Geth. So right now it's all Nethermind. In the future, I understand that there will also be Geth, but it's okay. We don't also since it's a soft fork essentially. We don't need all the nodes to support it. We just need enough nodes to support it.
Yes, and enough is the percentage of the nodes will be the delay the account abstraction network will have.
Right.
Okay, but Dror, as long as more people are going to use it, the more adoption it gets, the more likely it is to get actually into gas and other nodes themselves. So
of course, it will help.
It's going to happen eventually.
Yes. And at the first stage, many people will use bundlers that run with the public mempool. Yes, they can be front run. We are not seeing it as a good solution, but it is a good intermediate solution. You know, bundler will create bundles and people will front run it, grab user operation and resubmit them. Okay, it is possible.
Yes, but to the point of running bundlers on L2s, I believe that once it gets to inside the core, the code base of a node, it will be much cheaper to do it other than just running a trade call on each transaction.
Yes, but the point is that when you come to a big network, it's no longer a single computer. It's not. We are now thinking of single core. It will not be neither a single core nor a single computer. You will want to scale it out in order to make many view calls. I have no idea how to build this architecture. Maybe Dan has more knowledge about how to scale out, scale a node to make such a huge number of view calls, and account abstraction requires it. So the separation of APIs, as long as, of course, it is efficient, might not be such a deterrent. Like, if you're building efficient trace call, maybe it is enough. I don't know. Yes, it can be. It should be implemented something into Geth, but using a tracer, like a native code tracer instead of JavaScript tracer, might be good enough. You're running with an off-the-shelf Geth and just adding a module to collect the information for account abstraction validation. Okay, but getting into implementation details, it's less relevant here.
Yeah. Right. I didn't have anything else on the agenda unless any of you have any questions.
No, I think that's it.
Also, next call, I am on holiday, so I won't be available. But this meeting room is open, so feel free to.
Next call, okay.
I think it's on the 6th, right? The 6th of April. Day before Easter, or sorry, Good Friday. So
I believe that we also have a holiday during the time.
On the 6th?
Let me check.
The 6th is Passover. It's the first.
Yeah, it's a holiday. Yeah, it's a holiday as well.
Also holiday here.
Okay.
So we might want to reschedule that.
The holiday is on the 5th, no? Passover Eve is on the 5th.
Yeah, the Eve. Yeah, Passover Eve.
Yes, but the 6th is a holiday.
Yeah, so the 6th is a holiday.
So do you want to cancel that call then? Or, I mean, that means
maybe we can push it. Yeah.
Push it to when? I mean.
No, a week later is already the beginning of East Tokyo. So we won't be able to attend.
Yeah, a week later is actually the day before East Tokyo, but it's a Pragma, which I'm also attending, the Tokyo Pragma.
And I'm on a flight, so
yeah.
Maybe actually it looks like I already landed in Tokyo, but I'm not sure I will be available to talk after 24 hours. No, it's not that long. Maybe it's gonna be okay. Not sure.
Unless you want to cancel the next call and rejoin on the 20th of April. We'd have 4 weeks to work on stuff in between. So.
We can cancel it, I guess. The only thing that I want is some feedback once we actually write the specification or the test for the mempo. If you could also just provide us some feedback on what we also might need to test, if we are missing something or if something is redundant. something like that. Just give us feedback on what we are doing.
Yeah, I think we all made very slow progress lately because of other tasks, and we need to push it forward. So let's try to be more active on the group and ping. Like, okay, I missed your comment. If we don't answer which one, let's ping over there to make sure that we keep progress.
Sure, sounds good. So
Okay.
we'll exchange feedback on Telegram, and just I'll go ahead and cancel the next call, and we'll meet again on the 20th.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
All right then. Have a nice day, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.